And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3.
Ryan Metzler's top 100 games of all time. Some are good and some are bad and some are sublime. Ryan has a PhD, lost his Euro certainly. Felt his favorite, can't you see? So here's his favorite
Top 100 games.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and it's time for another episode of Ryan Metzler's Top 100 Games of All Time. This time we're going to be going over games 80 to 71. I don't really have anything insightful or exciting to say this time, so why don't we just get right into it and start out with game number 80.
Number 80, Hansa Teutonica.
Game number 80 on my top 100 games of all time is a game called Hansa Teutonica. Now, this is a game in which each player is trying to build routes between various different areas, and building these routes and establishing buildings at the end of those routes will allow you to score victory points, or it will allow you to upgrade your own personal technology tree. So each player has a board on it, and on that board are various different benefits they can get from building different buildings. And if you build to a specific building, it will let you either take the building in that area, or it will let you take the bonus. And the bonus will, of course, make playing the game a little bit easier, either by getting you more guys to use, or more influence tokens to use between establishing these different routes, or by, of course, letting you, for example, do things like get extra victory points, or giving you access to build into different cities. So you have to upgrade these technologies, but creating a balance between upgrading your technologies and building out onto the board and gaining control is going to be very important. On top of that, it isn't just about establishing routes, but it's also about preventing other players from establishing routes. So you're going to be fighting with other players to control different areas, and by spending extra influence of your own, you may actually kick people off of routes they're trying to establish. So there's a real aspect of trying to make sure that you are building what you need to do, upgrading the technologies you need to upgrade, while at the same time trying to prevent other players from getting bonuses of their own. That's what makes Hansa Teutonica an interesting and interactive game. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please check out my review, see if it's for you, and that is game number 80.
Number 79, Alea Iacta Est.
Game number 79 on my top 100 list is the one right here. It's Alea Iacta Est. Now, this is a pretty early dice rolling and dice placement game, and this is a theme that's seen a lot of variations in recent years. You have things like Kingsburg, you have things like Alien Frontiers, and all kinds of subsequent games. Trois is another one in the same genre, and this is one of the earlier ones from Rio Grande Games, in which you're going to be rolling dice and trying to use those dice to collect various different things by forming different types of sets, be it just high number or sets of the same number of dice. You're going to be trying to place them onto these buildings in order to influence that building and gain various things, be it different provinces or patricians to send to those provinces in order to score victory points at the end of the game. Some of the buildings will just straight up give you victory points, while one building, if your dice don't succeed in getting the benefit for the building you've placed them on, will actually give you reroll tokens to use for a future turn, and making it a little bit easier and giving you a little bit of a catch-up mechanism to try and, hopefully regain some of the momentum that you lost by losing some of your dice to the latrine, which is where they go if they get kicked off. It definitely plays well and it holds up well. It's one I would suggest checking out. That is Alea Iacta Est, The Die is Cast from Rio Grande Games.
Number 78, Jungle Speed.
Now we come to a game that is not European, it's not American style of gaming. It's a speed-based game. I'm sure everybody's played Speed or Spoons, and this is a game on that variant. So Spoons is about trying to match cards and, of course, trying to grab a spoon. And this is Jungle Speed, in which you're trying to grab this totem. I've got it inside the bag here, and this is the rubber totem edition of Jungle Speed. But the idea here is that you're going to be playing cards, flipping them over quickly, and trying to notice matches amongst these cards between the various players that are playing the game. And when two cards match, you're going to quick reach out for this totem and try and grab it before anybody else can. Now, this creates for some hilarity because sometimes this gets thrown and everybody goes running for it. Or sometimes, you think you match and you reach for it and you don't quite have a match because the cards are very similar, and you reach out and you have to stop yourself just in time. In other variants, or not other variants, but in other editions of the game, this totem is made from wood, so it oftentimes gets a little bit painful to play the game, but The game is awesome. The cards are very, very similar even when they don't match, so it's very hard and you have to pay a lot of attention to try and make sure that you have a match. And it's just a very exciting game, quick gameplay, and one that you can teach to pretty much anybody. For this reason, it comes out to the table a lot, and so you can see why it would make somebody's favorite games. Easy to play, fun to play, and easily accessible. And that's, of course, going to make a great game. So, if this sounds good to you, check it out. That is Jungle Speed, and see if you can get the Woodham Totem version, because, of course, that makes it even more fun and, of course, dangerous, which always fun.
Number 77, Strasbourg.
Game number 77 on my top 100 list is yet another Feld game. So we already had him on the list with In the Year of the Dragon, and now we have my next favorite Feld, which is going to be Strasbourg. Now this is a game that I haven't had a chance to play a lot just yet. I actually don't own a physical copy of the game myself, and I never have, but it's one that I'm aspiring to get my hands on. And that's because this game offers something that no other Feld game really offers. In this game, each player has a deck of influence cards, and that deck of influence cards must last them for the entire game. However, each round of the game you're allowed to draw as many of these influence cards as you would like, and use them to essentially bid on various different aspects of the game each round. So you're going to be bidding on influence in the pretzel area, or influence in the brewing area, or whatever the case may be. But you'll be bidding for these positions. Getting these positions will allow you to place an influence into a specific area. They'll allow you to put one of your family members into that district on the board, and will provide you with benefits of getting those resources which you can use throughout the game. But the real mechanic of the game is in correctly or efficiently utilizing these influence cards, drawing the right amount each turn, and then dividing them into piles that you can use to bid on things, and secretly having those piles and revealing them at the appropriate time to get what you need. Doing that over a series of rounds is going to give you the ability to, kind of work on an area control thing and gain some victory points from getting influence from these different types of crafts. So the game feels a little bit different than other Felds. It has that unique aspect of kind of divvying up the influence cards and having your access to as many as you want, but how many do you want to use each time? It really depends on what you're trying to do. So that aspect is really cool to me. I really like it. If anybody has a copy out there that they're trying to get rid of, hit me up. Strasbourg, the second Feld on my list, at number 77.
Number 76, Warhammer Invasion.
Now we have the first LCG to come up on the list. We have Warhammer Invasion, the card game. Now this is a card game that was released by Fantasy Flight Games, still being expanded. I haven't gotten into all of the expansions yet, but it's a game that both I and Andrea enjoy quite a bit. Andrea a little bit more than me, but it's on my top 100 list as well. And that's because this is a two-player card game in which the players are directly competing with one another. Now, you can use pre-built decks, and I think it's okay with pre-built decks, but the real game is in drafting. Drafting your decks before you play, and then sitting down and using those decks to compete with one another directly. Each player is going to have, after they're done, a deck of cards that they'll be using to try and combat the other players', I don't know what you want to call it, their fortress. You're trying to, of course, invade their fortress, or their battle area. And each battle area has 3 different sides which you can attack, and damaging those sides is going to be important. And players will be using the cards from their deck to try and protect their own areas while trying to combat the opponent's areas. And specific cards will be better for, for attacking, specific cards will be better for defending, and sometimes you're going to have to shift them around your 3 different areas on your board to try and best utilize their different abilities. Now you can also get cards in your deck that will help you fortify your own areas so that they don't take as much damage, or so that when they do take damage they last a little bit longer, but essentially the first player to knock 2 of the other players' areas out is going to be the winner. So, you're going to want to try and protect your area or gang rush your opponent in order to get in there. And the decks offer different strategies. You have, dark elves, and you have orcs, and you have humans and dwarves, and all types of different factions you can play. Generally one good faction against one bad, but the different dynamics of the different factions keep the game fresh, and you can always buy more expansions, such as Skaven, to keep it even more fresh for you. So it has a nice expandable aspect. It's a great fun game to play, and if you get into the drafting aspect, it has a lot of replayability and some more tactical decisions to be made.
Number 75, Legacy, Gears of Time.
time travel is a very difficult theme to pull off in a game, and I've been all the time bouncing ideas around in my head as to how time travel could work. I've got several different design concepts if I ever find time to design a game, but the only game that I've played that really does time travel well so far is Legacy Gears of Time. A game that I have reviewed. I got it after the, not last Gen Con, but the Gen Con before, and got it to my table and really enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, the concept of Legacy Gears of Time is that you are coming up with different ideas or inventions that you're trying to get out onto the table in order to score influence points or points. But getting them out earlier is going to allow you to essentially preempt other players. So something might be on the board, you can go back further in time and invent it before them. So through balancing the actions you have and making sure all the prerequisites are there, you're going to try and preempt other players to invent things in order to score enough victory points to be the winner. And of course that always comes in to be a little bit confusing with time travel, but Legacy Gears of Time really puts it together in a way that's easy to understand and yet fun to play. So, if you've ever looked for a game that is going to make time travel a viable game aspect, give it a Euro-y type feel, but still be a card game that's relatively easily accessible, check out Legacy Gears of Time from Floodgate Games. It's really a great game, one that I enjoy quite a bit, and one that I think you can probably get to the table and enjoy as well.
Number 74, Discworld.
Discworld is a popular fantasy world by Terry Pratchett and has been brought to board games by Martin Wallace, and his first game in that series was called Discworld Ankh-Morpork. Now, there are several games since that, and this is the only one that's going to make my top 100, but it's also the only one I've played. In this game, each player has a variable goal. They're trying to accomplish something, be it getting a certain amount of money, or influencing or controlling a certain amount of areas on the board, or even one goal where they simply want nobody else to accomplish their goal by the end of a certain amount of turns. Through this, each player is trying to use the same resources to accomplish that goal. So each player has a deck of cards, or there's one deck of cards that each player will be drawing and playing cards from. And on those cards there are various different icons which will allow them to do different things. Either placing minions out onto the board, or collecting some money, building different buildings that will give you benefits throughout the city, or sometimes even removing other players' pieces, or moving around some neutral pieces that will affect area control. And so by using these cards, you're trying to secretly accomplish your goal, not reveal too much, but at the same time prevent other players, whose goals you may or may not have an idea of what they are, trying to prevent those players from accomplishing theirs. Now, if no one accomplishes their goal, and the secret goal that prevents or that allows one player to win when no one else accomplishes their goal is not on the table, then there is an endgame scoring based on the amount of areas you control and the amount of minions you have in different places. And you can still win the game by effectively playing the game. But trying to kind of secret out everybody else's goals, accomplish your own, is really where it's at and what makes the game fun and exciting. So it's counted for everything. It's fun to play, and it's got a great theme. It's one that I really enjoy, made a permanent place in my collection, and one I suggest you check out if you have the chance. It's available both through Tree Frog Games, which is Martin Wallace's own company, and a Mayfair Games edition that's a little bit more accessible, so I definitely suggest that you check it out.
Number 73, San Juan.
San Juan is what many people would call the card game version of a popular Euro game called Puerto Rico. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, and it's a game you will not be finding on my top 100. Now, this is because Puerto Rico fans are very into the game, and it's a very popular game because it is very strategic. But the first several turns of Puerto Rico are supposed to be, or believed by many players, supposed to be scripted. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're not a very popular player, and sitting near you is going to be beneficial. I don't think San Juan falls to that same problem. So it's a little bit more accessible and a little bit better for me because I don't often get the same game to the table and develop a strategy and remember the strategy for forever. So with San Juan, each player has their hand of cards. Those cards are essentially everything in the game, from your resource to build buildings, to the buildings themselves, to the resources that are generated by different plantations, and they're what you're going to get for selling your resources to a market and drawing more cards. So essentially, you're going to be using those for very much, the whole game to do everything. There are also roles that you get to select, and that role selection will vary what you're doing on the turn, but most of the gameplay is in the cards, and then the role selection kind of changes what your strategy is from turn to turn. With that, you're going to be trying to dig through the deck of cards to try and find the cards you need to make a combo. And so, effectively putting together a strategy where you're able to dig through the deck, find the right cards for you to use, and put them together out onto your tableau to make that strategy is going to be how you're going to win the game. And so, playing it often is going to give you a benefit, but you don't need to play often in order to know how to play the game, and I don't think that playing often is going to make you a terrible player, or a great player, sorry. It's not going to make you a great player, or it may, but not playing often is not going to make you a terrible, terrible player and the person to sit next to if you automatically want to win the game. So it's accessible again, and that's going to be a big theme for me in terms of these card games, is accessibility. It's portable, and it's fun to play. And I really think that it's kind of the kind of game that you can pull out at any time, teach a new group of players, and they can all have fun with it. So there you have it. That is San Juan, the card game version of Puerto Rico.
Number 72, Hamburgum.
The next game on my top 100 list is a game by Mac Gertz, and this is a guy who's known for making games that revolve around a rondel system. All that really means is that you're going to be moving your pawn around a circular action selection area, which is going to allow you to take different actions. And the whole idea of many of these rondels is that you can move up to 1 to 3 spaces on this for free, and if you want to move further, you have to pay for it. So planning out the order in which you're going to take your actions is very important. Hamburgum is cool because some of the components, first off, are awesome. There's little church bells that come in the game. They're actually little bells, and they're just really cool, so that's something I wanted to mention right away. On top of that, the board is double-sided, so it's going to give you 2 different scenarios that you can play and different strategies that you're going to have to do on each side of the board, which is going to be, nice for replayability. On top of that, I'd say it's a pretty entry-level rondel-style game where you're going to be moving around and trying to generate resources. You can generate wood or gold or whatever the case may be, and you're going to use those resources to donate to churches. You'll have to convert them into various things, build buildings in order to get more resources, and then finally get those resources, donate them to the churches towards the construction, and if you finish the construction, earn victory points for building that church. Now, building churches will also give you various different benefits, allowing you to build into different areas for cheaper. So there's kind of a back and forth between generating resources, building churches, and then being able to generate more resources because you've done so. So it's got an interesting aspect. It's a nice intro-level rondel game, easy to pick up and easy to learn, and has some really great components. And that's why Hamburgum has made it to the 70s on my top 100 list.
Number 71, the original, Carcassonne.
The game coming in at number 71 on my top 100 list is a game that probably most of you have played. I'd say most people in most gaming circles have played this game. It's, of course, Carcassonne. Now, this is the introductory game for many, many, many new gamers. That, or Ticket to Ride, or Settlers of Catan, something like that. But I don't really need to go into the aspects of this game that make it so great. Of course, it's easy to learn. Of course, it's got some great strategy. You're playing tiles to the table. You're trying to puzzle them out. And at the same time, you're trying to figure out the best place to place your farmers in order to earn extra points. Everybody knows the game. What really makes the game great is the fact that it is so expandable. I don't even know, the base box comes with 5 expansions, so that's the big box too. Comes with 5 expansions. It plays super quick. You can vary up the game by adding 1 expansion and removing another, or simply playing the base game on its own is still a very strategic and fun experience. So, if you're looking for a great introductory game and you haven't already tried Carcassonne, get this one. Show it to your friends who aren't gamers. They'll probably be hooked and want to keep playing it. If you're an experienced gamer who wants a game that they can take to the table and change each time, get Carcassonne. You can add the expansions, you can remove the expansions, you can buy more expansions. You can throw things with the catapult if you want to. Not an expansion I would suggest, but you can do it if you want. This is a game that they're going to keep expanding. They've expanded in the past. They're going to expand it in the future. And I think it's always going to be one that's going to be easy to find, accessible to players, and of course, variable for the players who do own it. Well, there you have it. That is games number 80 through 71. You have some introductory games, you have some thematic games, you have some speed games, you got some dice rolling, you got all kinds of stuff in there. As we get further into the list, I know it's going to get more and more Euro-y as you get towards the 30s and the 20s and the 10s. The games are going to be very, very Eurocentric. But keep in mind, that's the type of gamer I am. I hope that I'll be able to intersperse some thematic games and some card games in there for you, that you'll be able to find something, even in my top 10 games, if you're not a Euro player, that you would love to play. With that said, join me again later this week for another edition of my top 100 games, where we cover games 70 through 61.